What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Flores-Tech. Today, we're going to continue these study sessions here with CompTia for Security Plus certification here. So, last video we did over section 2.4. This video we're going to do over section 2.5. The description for that is given a scenario, implement cybersecurity resilience. So, what would you do in this case? It is June 24th, 2023. So, let's go ahead and get this study on. All right. A company has implemented a virtual desk infrastructure where the user's desktop operates as a virtual machine on a centralized server. When users log off the machine, any changes made at the VM level are not saved, which the following ensures non-persistence has been implemented. It reverts back to the known state. Perfect. A user installs software on the system without permission. The system is now highly unstable and continuously crashing. While removing the software failed, it has been decided to restore the system from a backup. A backup of the system is performed every night. The last entire backup was 5 days ago. Okay. To restore the system, 5 sets of data need to be used. Consider the available backup schemes, which all accomplish the complete restoration of the data. I'm gonna go with full. Ooh. So I feel like it's between full and differential or full and incremental, because it's saying that it gets it gets backed up every night, but it's not a full backup. It's just for like that day. So let's see. Okay, so one of them is correct. Cool. All right. A system engineer enhances the security of a network by adding firewalls to both the external network and internal company network. The firewalls are products of two separate companies. This is an example of what type of security control practice. Vendor diversity, because it's from two separate companies. Nice. All right. A system can detect when a server fails and no longer sends clients to the down server. Instead, the system reroutes the traffic to other servers to share the load, providing high availability. What hardware or software component is being used? Ooh. Can detect when a server fails and no longer sends clients to the down server. Instead, the system reroutes the traffic. Okay, I think that is load balancer. I think either load balancer or RAID 0, but I don't think it's RAID 0. I think it's load balancer. Oh, baby. Yeah. All right. Moving it forward here. A system administrator clones a virtual machine from a certain point in time to deploy a new application for company timekeeping use. Which of the following actions did the system administrator perform? So a system administrator clones a virtual machine. Okay. From a certain point in time to deploy a new application from the company. Okay, gotcha. So that sounds, we have incremental, differential, full, or snapshot. To me, that sounds like it's just a snapshot because it's just from here, this point here, and then on forward. But it's not like the rest of whatever they did on that virtual machine. It's just from that moment onward. Cool, perfect. Need some water. Perfect. So a system engineer has a new application that needs deployment on a production server that a company employee uses. Which of the following is the best approach for implementation of a new application on the server? Okay, so we have take a snapshot of the server after installing a new application, take a snapshot of the server and test the application before installing to production, run vulnerability scans on an application, or test a new application in a sandbox before deploying. So a system engineer has a new application that needs deployment on a production server that the company is using. Okay, so they have an application that needs to be deployed on the server. What is the best approach for implementation of a new? Mm, I would say take a snapshot of the server and test the application before installing to production, or testing the application in the sandbox before deploying. Okay, so one of them is correct. Okay. A full backup of a system is completed every Sunday at 12 noon. 3 times during the week, the same backup type is used to capture any files that have changed since the last full backup. Which backup scheme is used during the week? It sounds like incremental. No? Okay. No worries. And so if you're just joining us here today with FloresTech, we're just going over the next scenario for Section 2.5 of implementing cybersecurity resilience um, for June 24th here. And so that one is not correct. So then I wonder if it's not incremental, then it's probably differential, but I'm not entirely too sure. So that's what I like about the CompTia is when you're going through these kinds of questions and things, and a little bit later on, they'll show you all the answers. They'll say like load balancing is this, network interface, card teaming is this, clustering is that, single point of failure is this. So it's pretty cool. Gotta appreciate it. So a company uses one web server with multiple application servers to handle large processing requirements and provide high availability. Which of the following is the company using? So they're using uses one web server with multiple application servers. That's interesting. Network interface card teaming or single point of failure? One of those two. No, both wrong. That's fine. Let's learn. So a full backup of a system is completed every Sunday at noon, 3 times daily, or 3 times a week. The same backup type is used to capture any files that have changed since the last full backup. Which backup scheme is used during the week? So during the week, then again, it's the differential. So let's see what that is. A differential backup begins with a full backup and copies information that has changed since the previous full backup, and backups are copies of the data created and ensure data can be restored if corrupted or lost. While I thought it was incremental backup copies all data that has been changed since the last full incremental backup. So a differential backup begins with a full backup and copies information that has changed since the previous full backup. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Load balancing. Okay. So a company uses one web server with multiple application servers to handle large processing requirements and provide high availability. Which of the following is the company using? Load balancer. So load balancers can equalize the traffic load between servers, eliminating unscheduled downtimes. Load balancing uses multiple servers to support the single service. Load balancing can ensure system availability. Hmm. While a network interface card teaming is the practice of using multiple NICs to utilize multiple cable lines. Okay, so that makes sense as to why that's not it. A single point failure is a critical component of the system that in the event it fails, the whole system can crash. While clustering provides a high availability for servers, can remove the single point of failure. Clustering is similar to load balancing, but it is more costly than RAID implementations. Hmm. So that was load balancing. Gotcha. Full incremental. So an incremental backup is performed after a previous backup, and only data that has been changed since the last backup will be included. A full backup followed by each incremental will fully restore the system. While a differential backup is performed after a previous full backup, and only data that has been changed will be included. Restoring the data would only need two backup sets if differential was used for a full backup. Interesting. So this is incremental backup. Ah, so with this one, system engineer has a new application that needs deployment on a production server. What's the best way for them to deploy that? So it was to take a snapshot of the server and test the application before installing to production. So snapshots are backups of the system that can be used to quickly recover the erroneous installs of new applications or patches. The snapshot should be taken before the application or update is installed. The new application should be tested before applying to production. Okay. So the new application should be tested before being applied. However, a snapshot also be taken before the application deployment. Vulnerability scanning should be completed. Okay, gotcha. Perfect. Let's keep it moving. Enable and test power. Enable and test workstations. Enable and test power. Enable and test critical network servers. Enable and test power. Enable and test infrastructure. Enable and test critical network servers. I think it's this one. So severe weather recently caused a power outage at a small company. Once the power restored at a junior level, system administrator brought all systems back online. However, users immediately began reporting issues. The junior system administrator admitted to not having an order of restoring plan, so resulting in difficulties resetting the system. Evaluate the following options and set a plan that the administrator should have followed to correctly complete the task. So I think that's going to be the enable and test power, enable and test infrastructure, enable and test critical network servers. Ba-ba-da-da. Perfect. Got it. Hmm. All right. So a company uses one web server with multiple application servers to handle large processing requirements and provide high availability. Which of the following is the company using? All right. Yep, that was that load balancing. An application built to provide deployment and exercise information from a military branch requires zero downtime to remain effective. The implementation of a failover clusters ensure that the redundancy of the system failure is the bare minimum. What type of application method is this? RAID 5. No? High availability? Which redundant RAID 10? Is it? Yeah. Okay, a system has been compromised and data has been deleted. A backup of the system is performed every night. The last entire backup was 5 days ago. To restore the system, only two sets of data need to be restored. Examine the available backup schemes and determine which will accomplish the complete restoration of data. So I believe that was full and incremental. No, it was full and differential. So you still have those ones right there. So a system engineer would like to improve the single point of failure and improve performance while upgrading subsystems with more than 3 disks at a lowest cost possible. Which of the following is the engineer most likely to invest in? Right then. Nice. So full backup of the system is completed every Sunday at noon, 3 times during the week. The same backup is used to capture any files that have changed since the last full backup. That's incremental. Oh my gosh, it's differential. That's fine. See, that's the learning process, and sometimes we just wish that we just knew it all anyway. So I know I'm that way anyway, so that's okay. Let's get back to this here, FloresTech. So a company is implementing the use of an alternate site in the event of a disaster. The plan is to replicate data between main site and the alternate site on a continuous basis. The sites are a few hundred miles apart. Which statements are true regarding replication? So let's read that again. A company is implementing the use of an alternate site in the event of a disaster. The plan is to replicate data between the main site and the alternate site on a continuous basis, that the sites are a few hundred miles apart. Which statements are true regarding the replication? Um, Asynchronous replication indicates data is mirrored from a primary site to a secondary site. Asynchronous replication is particularly sensitive to distance. Synchronous replication is particularly sensitive to distance. Asynchronous replication indicates data must be written at both sites to be considered valid. Let's go with this one here. And this one here. Nice. Perfect. So it is. So synchronous replication is particularly sensitive to distance, while asynchronous replication indicates data is mirrored from a primary site to a secondary site. Cool. Let's learn. High availability. That's what they're saying right here with the military. Uh, that's the kind of redundancy that they need, is a high availability. Full differential. So differential backup is performed after previous full backup, and only data that has been changed will be included. Restoring the data would only need 2 sets backups. So that's differential is the 2 sets of backups. And then copy the information that has been changed since the previous full backup. Gotcha. Moving forward here, so a data center needs to ensure that the data is not lost at the system level in the event of a blackout. Servers must stay operable for at least an 8-hour window and recovery controls implemented as part of the response. Which redundancy effort should be put in place to ensure the data remains available? PDU or UPS? One of those two. A startup company adds a firewall, an IDS, and an HIPS to the infrastructure at the end of the week. They will install HVAC in the server room. The company has scheduled penetration testing every month. Which type of layer security does this best represent? Control diversity. Nice. All right. So military branch requesting an application be ready for deployment. System must be operational 24/7, less than 1% of the downtime. An admin is implemented to the system reduce redundancy. high availability. I was gonna say either that high availability or it would be a hot site. But a hot site is when they want to move it to another location, and but that's not what the question was saying. So user installs software on a system without permission. The system is now highly volatile. Backup system is performed every night. The last entire backup was 5 days ago. To restore the system, 5 sets of data need to be used, considering the available backups. So I think that one is full and incremental because it needs 5 layers. It needs 5 sets of data rather than just 2. But this one is the differential. A company maintained operations even though the workload had heavily increased using the existing software and hardware. What mechanism allowed this to occur? So a company maintained operations even though the workload had heavily increased. So I would say elasticity or availability or scalability, but it doesn't say anything about that. I'm gonna go with these two. One of those two. Okay, so one of them is correct. No worries. So to provide new functionality in a company's business process, the system requires a new line of business application. The application awaits installation, which of the following is the best approach for implementation at the new application on the server? Take a snapshot of the server and test the application before installing. So UPS is an uninterrupted power supply, consists of collections of batteries, the charging circuit, and an inverter to generate AC voltage from the DC voltage in the batteries. An uninterrupted power supply or UPS can be applied at the system level to provide data availability. Alright, and then with this one, a company maintained operations even though the heavy workload, so what's the availability? Or scalability, excuse me, is capacity to increase the workload on current resources, which is pretty great. So let's keep it moving here. Let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it pushing. Differential. Last backup was 5 days to restore. We only need 2 sets of data. So that's the full and differential because it only needs 2 sets of data. This one is the scalability. What mechanism allowed this to occur? Is the scalability. Nice. And then uninterrupted power supply is the redundancy effort that should be put in place to ensure data remains available. Nice. And last one here, an application built to provide deployment and exercise information for a military branch requires 0 downtime. So what do they need? They need high availability. Perfect. Awesome. Well, good job everybody. If you made it through that. Now it's time to move, stretch, get this blood flowing again here. FloresTech signing out. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment for the algorithm. Thanks.